Welcome to the WEBN 2024 Spring Training Special. I'm your host, Danielle Dubois.
And I'm Kyler Myra. Excitement is in the air for all MLB teams as the season openers loom. Let's start this show with our local team, the Boston Red Sox.
Boston fans have low expectations for the upcoming season, so let's take a look at how the team is preparing in spring training.
The Boston Red Sox finished dead last in the AL East last year. They missed playoffs despite winning 78 games. Now that tally's far too low to get into the postseason, but had the Red Sox been in a weaker division, they would have finished as high as second. The Red Sox did not spend big on players this winter, so current team members will have to step up in order to dig themselves out of their position. First baseman Tristan Casas says that all that negative pressure isn't affecting the team.
I'm really excited to see how this season goes because on paper we're not supposed to be a really great team, but in the clubhouse nobody believes that we're not supposed to be a World Series contender.
By many people's projections, the Red Sox should finish last in a competitive AL East this season. But for them to prove those doubters wrong, their journey will start here, in JetBlue Park. The truth is, there is tough competition everywhere in MLB. Minnesota Twins pitcher Brock Stewart says that the spring training mentality is the same for each team going into 2024.
You got to beat everybody to win the AL Central. You got to beat the AL East and the AL West, and hopefully we do a good job of that this year.
The Red Sox took a step toward accomplishing their goal of making the postseason by cruising to an 8-5 victory over the Twins. Most of the starting rotation took the field and scored big, with players like Jarren Duran and Rafael Devers hitting home runs. Just 12 games remain before the season opener in Seattle on March 28th. For WEBN Sports from Fort Myers, Florida, I'm Kyler Myra.
The Red Sox hold some optimism for the upcoming season, partly because of the re-signing of 24-year-old pitcher Brayan Bello.
Let's see how the re-signing of such a marquee player has affected the team's morale going into the new season.
On Tuesday, Brayan Bello made his first spring training start since signing a 6-year, $55 million extension with the Red Sox. Before the game, Bello's teammates spoke about what Sox fans can expect from their ace.
He works hard every day. Fans don't get to see that. They just get to see what he gets to do for fun, his pitch. But as teammates and players, we see all the hard work he puts behind the scenes, so it's awesome that he earned it and deserves it.
Tyler O'Neill is excited to be on Bello's team this year.
Looking at him from afar before I got traded over here too, you knew who he was. Good fastball, really good changeup, and good breaking ball too. So, I faced him a couple times in live, and it's coming out good. So, for the Red Sox to lock him up for a long time, it's going to be really good for the core of this organization.
For Rafael Devers, Bello's extension holds extra special meaning.
Somos de la misma ciudad, del mismo campo allí en Samaná. Eso es algo que me orgullece como que si fuese yo que firmé el contrato, algo que lo vengo viendo a él desde que subió, es un muchacho que tiene buen futuro y que trabaja bien. Podemos decir que puede ser uno de los mejores pitchers de la liga.
Yeah, we know that he's from the same town that I'm from, so when he signed that extension, it was like I signed it myself. We know the type of player that he is, the type of pitcher that he is. I saw him since the first time that he came up to the big league team, and I'm really happy for him.
But what does Bello expect out of himself now that he has signed a long-term contract?
Ayudar al equipo a mantenerme ready cada temporada que venga a competir aquí y seguir compitiendo contra cada bateador que venga a enfrentarme ahí.
No, just stay ready. I think work hard, keep improving, and just be ready each season that I come here to pitch.
The Red Sox just lost a close one to the Cardinals. 8-6 was the final score. Brayan Bello went 3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs on the day. Not his best outing, but he will certainly look to bounce back before the season officially gets underway in just a few weeks. I'm Lucas Sims with WEBN reporting.
Bello and the Red Sox do have a long road ahead of them.
But they aren't the only team in the AL East fighting for a playoff spot.
The Tampa Bay Rays are gearing up for some close competition in the AL East. With just over a week left in spring training, the start of the Rays' 162-game season is around the corner.
I'm just excited. I mean, spring training is always fun. You come and see the guys again. You start, getting your timing back, getting other things back. So I'm really excited for opening day out there in Tampa.
The Rays will have to face off against their division rivals a total of 52 times this year. Despite the AL East being one of the most competitive divisions in the MLB, outfielder Richie Palacios isn't worried.
It's baseball. So yes, AL East is a great division, but it doesn't change my mindset on what I'm trying to do when I'm at the plate or when I'm on the field. So
the Rays' biggest competition at the moment is the Baltimore Orioles, who won the AL East last year. Now in spring training, the Rays look to prepare for the regular season and come out on top.
I'm excited to face this division. I know the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Blue Jays, they are a good team, but we have a pretty good squad, and I'm confident on what we have right now.
Only excitement for the Tampa Bay Rays as they get ready to face off against none other than division rival, the Toronto Blue Jays, on opening day. From spring training, I'm Danielle Dubois, WEBN Sports. The Red Sox took a trip down to the Dominican Republic to face off against the Tampa Bay Rays. Briggs Loveland has the story.
The Boston Red Sox are coming back from their Dominican Republic spring training series against the Tampa Bay Rays. For players from the DR, like third baseman Rafael Devers, it was a chance to go home.
Eso fue una experiencia muy linda, sabemos que eso no se ve todos los días, es algo que lo disfruté como nada en la vida.
It was a beautiful experience. That's an experience that you don't get to live every day, and I enjoy it at my fullest.
Baseball in the Dominican Republic is king. There are many baseball academies devoted to making MLB-ready players out of the DR. It was an eye-opening experience for Red Sox outfielder Jarren Duran. Playing in the World Baseball Classic last year, he said the ambiance in the DR was similar.
You know, there's energy all around, and it was really cool to see like Rafi and those guys in like their hometown. Like Rafi's been to the World Series, like he's playing playoff games, and he was talking about how nervous he was playing out there.
Red Sox manager Alex Cora felt a huge atmosphere difference when the team came back to JetBlue Park in Fort Myers.
The way I can explain that one is yesterday it felt very quiet here, very quiet. Yeah, it was like blah.
Cora complimented each team in the job done promoting the series, and now has his undivided attention focused on opening day in Seattle.
You know, it's business as usual. You got to keep getting ready for the first series of the season.
The Dominican series has shown that not only great talent comes out of the DR, but excitement and electric atmosphere as well. Reporting live from JetBlue Park, Briggs Loveland, WEBN News.
The Dominican Republic series has been influential for both teams that went. Let's take a look at the impact that it had on the Tampa Bay Rays.
With spring training well underway, the Tampa Bay Rays and Boston Red Sox flew down to the Dominican Republic to face off in a two-game series. The Dominican Republic series has only been done 3 times before, the last time being in 2020. This also meant a hometown reunion for multiple players, including catcher Francisco Mejia.
Fue una experiencia buena, me sentí agradecido de representar mi país y me siento muy contento de compartir con mi familia. ¿Entiendes? Fue algo que mi hermano nunca podía ver y me sentía súper contento.
It was a great experience. I'm very fortunate for something I was able to share with my family. Some of my family members hadn't been there and seen me play before, so I was very happy for it.
The Rays have multiple players from the Dominican, including Yandy Diaz, Jose Siri, and Francisco Mejia. When they all returned home, many of their families were able to see them play in the major leagues for the first time, and they were able to show their teammates where they came from.
Muy buena la experiencia con los compañeros, entiéndelo. Muchos americanos nunca me han ido allá y ellos estaban muy contentos. Preguntaban por lugares, les gustó la música, la primera noche que llegamos y la parte de la comida y la bebida y todo eso.
It was a great experience for some of those guys. Some of the American guys that probably had never been out there before. They were asking about having music, food, where to go out to eat. I think they were all very happy to be out there.
Now, having returned from their trip, they come back with shared experiences and stories to tell going into the regular season.
Well, I was happy to see my team is so excited, like the Dominican guys, so happy to be in their country having this big event, and I was happy for them.
The Rays are now back in the U.S. and focused on one thing, the regular season. At spring training, I'm Danielle Dubois, WEBN Sports.
Spring training is supposed to be a fun time for fans and players, but it's also a time for teams to improve from their last season. Coming up, we'll see how teams who had a successful 2023 will use this time to keep their momentum flowing.
You budget, you pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2?
1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
I'd rather be floating. If it's something I can count on.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to the Spring Training Special.
We now switch gears to the AL Central, where the Minnesota Twins look to repeat as division champs.
After such a successful 2023, the Twins are looking to use spring training to keep their positive momentum flowing.
Let's head to Fort Myers to see how they're using their time to prepare.
Coming off a successful season where the Minnesota Twins made the American League Division Series, the ball club looks to build off their performances. Spring training is a time when teams get a thorough look at their roster before the regular season begins. For pitcher Chris Paddock, that means staying on the mound after spending most of last season recovering from a Tommy John surgery.
You know, for me, just being available this year, that's my main goal for this upcoming season, and it starts in spring training.
The Twin starters laced up for this spring training matchup against the St. Louis Cardinals. With so much star power in the lineup, the Twins can treat this game as a dress rehearsal for the regular season.
Well, it starts with just doing the basics well. It starts with continuing to do a great job getting ahead and throwing strike one. It sounds boring. Little League coaches talk about that, but we care about that. I hope we punch some tickets when we get to 2 strikes out of Lou Varland and everyone else who pitches today.
The starters picked up exactly where they left off, including 4 shutout innings for starting pitcher Louis Varland en route to a 1-1 tie. Just as Coach Mackey had hoped, Varland kept people off base by striking out 4 Cardinals batters while only allowing 1 hit. The Twins have 13 more spring training matchups before the regular season begins. The goal? An even deeper run into the playoffs in 2024. From Fort Myers, Florida, I'm Kyler Myra, WEBN Sports.
The results of spring training games, while useful for sharpening up player skills, ultimately don't affect the regular season standings. Staying healthy takes a bigger importance as teams prepare for their season openers. Let's head to Mackenzie Bruno for more.
When you attend an MLB spring training game, you expect to watch players you're unfamiliar with. But every once in a while, teams unexpectedly roll out their regular season starting lineups. That's exactly what happened at the Minnesota Twins spring training game against the St. Louis Cardinals. Last season, the team had multiple starters out with injuries and still clinched an American Central League title.
Yeah, I think it's just building off of the core group of guys that we got here. Obviously, last year things came together. Played some really good baseball, especially down the stretch. I think it just starts out with just being healthy and being out there and playing the game the way we know we're capable of.
Before the game, Twins players warmed up and gave a glimpse into some of the adjustments made throughout the offseason.
I'm adding a new pitch, working on like a slider cutter that I can use throughout the season. Just trying to up my repertoire a little bit, sharpen some of the tools that I need to continue to work on. But for me, just being available this year, that's my main goal for this upcoming season, and it starts in spring training.
Thank you so much. The Minnesota Twins are heading into the 2024-2025 MLB regular season looking healthier than ever before. As you can see behind me, it is a packed house for this spring training matchup against the St. Louis Cardinals. The reason why? Both teams are rolling out their starting lineups that they are very confident in heading into the regular season. MLB players play 162 games during the season, not including the playoffs. It is by far the longest season in all of professional sports.
We know that every year is a new year, so there's a lot to take from last year, a lot to build on, but at the same time, we just got to treat it like day one and get back to work, get after it, and start stacking days together and put one foot in front of the other, and hopefully we'll be able to get back to the same spot.
The spring training game, which featured starters from both the Twins and the Cardinals, ended in a final tie score of 1-1. The Twins take on the Kansas City Royals on the road on March 28th for opening day. For WEBN Sports, I'm Mackenzie Bruno.
Twins fans are ready for the upcoming season and are hopeful for the future because of the preparation that has occurred this spring.
Long before the first pitch of opening day, Minnesota Twins players prepare consistently before they step out onto the field for the regular season. For the entire Minnesota Twins fan base, spring training is a time to see the work these athletes put in and what's in store for the future of their franchise.
I'm hoping that Brian Buxton comes back to show the ability he has, and if he has a good year, I think the Twins will go far.
The Twins sense a shift in energy this year. They have a newfound focus as they look to make a run in the playoffs, which start in October. Here at the Minnesota Twins spring training facility, the weather was perfect for a day of practice camp. The overall feeling in the clubhouse is much different than in years past, with players saying that the morale is extremely high going into the regular season with a confident starting lineup with no injuries.
Last year, when it was my first spring training as a Twin, I showed up, and the vibes were a little different. It was a lot about how 2022 didn't go the way we wanted. So now showing up to camp this year, knowing how 2023 went, we showed up with a lot of good vibes, a good mentality, a good mindset, and just with that hunger, that desire of like, let's do it again,
A typical day at camp for the Twins includes throwing, defense, and hitting at one of their practice fields or in the cages. For WEBN Sports, outside of the Minnesota Twins spring training facility, I'm Mackenzie Bruno.
Many fans travel from around the country to watch their favorite team prepare for the upcoming season. Stay tuned to find out more about the fan experience during spring training.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
Welcome back to the Spring Training Special.
A big and unique part of spring training is the one-on-one fan experiences.
That's right. Fans will fly from across the country to enjoy the sun and watch their favorite teams face off in preseason games.
And the players love those close-up interactions with their fans. Millen Jane has more.
Pittsburgh Pirates had a roller coaster of a season in 2023. It consisted of them being at the top of the National League at one point to quickly falling off and dropping below 500. Despite another disappointing season, many Pirates fans have reason to be optimistic for this upcoming season. The cause of optimism is the amount of talent from the Pirates farm system that has a chance to prove themselves on the Major League roster. Many players such as Oneil Cruz, Liover Peguero, Henry Davis, Paul Skeens, and Jared Triolo.
Well, as a kid growing up, my whole life, Buckland hasn't been worth anything, truthfully. So, yeah, we got some young talent and everything coming up, so hoping for a good year.
Many Pirates fans have made the trip down to Florida with excitement to see the Young Bucks hopefully make a push for the postseason.
I think if Ryan Hayes can play as well, Cruz too, those guys, and I think if we can get some good pitching going, we can contend this for sure.
The Pirates also have plenty of veterans within their lineup that can add power to a roster that is young and hungry. Players like Andrew McCutcheon, Brian Reynolds, and Ryan Hayes have the experience that can be the driving force that makes a push for the postseason.
I love the atmosphere, the food, the energy. I love everything about it.
If you have to take a wild guess, do you think the Pirates are postseason contenders?
Oh, absolutely. I'm game on.
As opening day draws closer, fans are looking forward to returning to Pittsburgh and watching their beloved Pirates play at PNC Park. For WEBN Sports, I'm Millen Jane.
Fans of Florida-based teams don't have to travel quite as far as Pirates supporters, but they still enjoy the extra access provided by spring training.
For Major League Baseball teams, spring training is a time to figure out lineups, give existing players practice, and allow new players to prove their skills to try and make a roster spot. But for the fans, it's a time to interact with their favorite players in a more personal setting. During the Tampa Bay Rays game against the Toronto Blue Jays on Monday, the atmosphere was just that.
Field for the presentation of our nation's colors. Joining us this afternoon is the Charlotte County Fire and EMS.
Here at Tampa Bay Spring Training, this is where fans can be seen waiting for their favorite players to come over and approach them. The players sign balls and autographs and even take selfies with some young kids. For spring training, although it might be about figuring out lineups and the different rotations, for most of these fans, it's an opportunity to interact with their favorite players on the field. Rays players Colin Poche and Yandy Diaz were spotted catching up with fans in what can be described as a more relaxed atmosphere.
It's pretty laid back. We do a good job of not doing unnecessary stuff, extra work that could put guys at risk. And the group of guys that we've had throughout the years, and especially this year, is always close knit. So it's good to be out here with the guys, and they really make it fun to show up each day. These spring training games give teams like the Tampa Bay Rays the ability to paint a picture of what to expect from the regular season.
Johnny Aranda's probably highlighted our spring with the way he swung the bat, and then some of the new guys, Ahmed Rosario and Jose Caballero, really pleased with where they are offensively.
Aside from proving their individual skills and having some fun with fans, playing in the Grapefruit League conditions players to understanding the demands of playing 26 and a half weeks of baseball.
Just trying to stay healthy, figuring out a good way to, build up where you're still getting the amount, but you're, tempering it with the right rest and, making sure that the body is really, primed once you get to, the end of March.
Here at the Tampa Bay Rays spring training facility, the team took on the Toronto Blue Jays today, in which was a tough matchup. The Rays struggled a lot with multiple errors, but team manager Kevin Cash is optimistic about the future of his team going into the regular season, looking at different lineups and getting a good look at all the different variations of pitchers, infield, and outfield.
The truth about spring training is that teams have no way of knowing whether or not their season will be good or not.
However, players do get a chance to get accustomed with their teammates in preparation for 2024.
As the weather begins to warm up, opening day continues to draw closer and closer. The Tampa Bay Rays are looking to ramp up their preparation as spring training comes to a close. For most players, they're taking the last days in camp day by day.
Really, it's a day-to-day process, right? So it's like really focusing on what we're trying to work on today, things I want to execute in today's game.
While Tampa's season ended by being swept by the Texas Rangers in the wild card round, players around the clubhouse believe that they have a lot of positive things they could build upon.
For me, I had a little power stroke at the end of the season, hitting a couple homers, so I've been working on that in the offseason, just being able to hit extra base hits. OPS is valued in this game, so being able to hit extra base hits is always a good thing for the team and for my own stats.
The Rays look forward to repeating the regular season that they had last year while being in the most competitive division in baseball.
For me, it's just, it's baseball. It's baseball. So, yes, AL East is a great division, but it doesn't change my mindset on what I'm trying to do when I'm at the plate or when I'm on the field. So,
with the start of the season just under 2 weeks away, players are looking forward to ramping up their preparation before they head back to Tampa to face the Toronto Blue Jays on opening day. At spring training, I'm Millen Jane, WEBN.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the WEBN 2024 Spring Training Special. I'm Danielle Dubois.
And I'm Kyler Myra. Have a great night.